Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you so much for joining us today. On behalf of the National Child Passenger Safety Board, we thank you for joining us for this community education webinar, Measuring and Communicating Child Passenger Safety Program Effectiveness. I am Tammy Franks, the curriculum representative on the National Child Passenger Safety Board, and I will be your moderator today. For the child passenger safety technicians in attendance, this presentation qualifies for a community education credit. In order to earn your community education credit, attendance on this webinar is required for the hour. You will not receive a proof of completion, but you can enter this information into your Safe Kids certification profile under your community education event. As a reminder, attendees are asked to not participate in this webinar if you're operating a motor vehicle. We are recording today, and you can listen to the recording when you arrive safely at your destination. We will post the recording to cpsboard.org/recertification in approximately 1 to 2 days. And just a few opening announcements for you as we move forward into our presentation. So just a reminder that the National Child Passenger Safety Board is currently accepting nominations for the 2023 National Child Passenger Safety Awards. We have awards for Technician, Instructor, and Team of the Year. You can find more information on the awards at cpsboard.org/awards. We do encourage you to nominate deserving technicians and instructors across your and teams from across your state. We hope to receive nominations from every state this year because we think that there are deserving people all across the country who should be recognized. Additionally, the National Child Passenger Safety Board currently has 3 member positions open for the 2023 through 2026 term of service. Applications are being accepted for these positions through September 30th of this year. And these open positions include the Child Passenger Safety Advocate, the Child Passenger Safety Advocate for at-risk and underserved populations, and the Vehicle Manufacturer Representative. For more information, visit cpsboard.org/board-membership. Please help us promote these openings as well by sharing on your social networks. And then finally, as a reminder, the board is offering a monthly webinar series. As you see listed here, we have webinars currently scheduled for July, August, and September. We hope that you'll be able to join us for these upcoming webinars. Registration is open for all 3 webinars at cpsboard.org/webinars. So at this point in time, I would like to introduce to you Amy Artuso, Senior Program Manager 3 at the National Safety Council. Amy will be presenting today on measuring and communicating child passenger safety program effectiveness. For more than 25 years, Amy has worked in the area of children's health and wellness. In her role with the National Safety Council, Amy serves as a subject matter expert and leads the National Safety Council's roadway mobility safety impact programs, which includes advocacy and education regarding the safety of children in and around vehicles, teen driving, vehicle recalls, and employer traffic safety. Prior to joining the NSC, Amy worked in pediatrics, serving as a multi-county Safe Kids coordinator, managed Safe Routes to School initiatives, and served as a civilian training and curriculum specialist for the U.S. Department of the Army. Amy has a master's degree in public health and is currently earning a doctorate of public health degree in advanced practice leadership. Amy is a nationally certified child passenger safety technician instructor and is a past chairperson and secretary of the National Child Passenger Safety Board. Amy will be taking questions at the end of her presentation, so please enter your questions in the Q&A box, and we'll work through those as time allows at the end. So now I'd like to please join me in welcoming Amy, and I'll turn it over to Amy.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much, Tammy. let me just get situated here for a second so that you can see my screen. I'm going to apologize if I don't look like I am looking directly at the camera at times. Let's see. I want to make sure from the beginning. There we go. So hopefully,
That looks good, Amy.
does it? Okay.
Yes.
Can you see my toolbar?
No, ma'am.
No, you can't. Okay, perfect. I'm sorry for this delay. Okay, we'll start there. Thank you again, Tammy, for that warm introduction and welcome. You know, the National Child Passenger Safety Board is near and dear to my heart, but I also want to thank everybody for taking the time to participate today. As Tammy mentioned, because of our limited time and the amount of information I'm trying to cover, please share any questions you have throughout the presentation in the chat box. And as time allows at the end, we will address your questions. It also might be a question that you have in the beginning that'll be answered later in the presentation. And so if we do happen to run out of time, I'll be happy to circle back with you offline. So with that, let's get started. And again, my toolbar is bothering me because I can still see it. So our session objectives today are to cover or learn how to create measurable objective goals to support program planning, grant applications, and agency reporting, and so much more. My question, everyone, is if you struggle with measuring and communicating your program impact and effectiveness, or aren't even sure where to start. So today we'll discuss a high-level overview of how to write these measurable objective goals. And I also want to take a few moments to clarify and empower and provide some mentoring that child passenger safety is public health work. That doesn't always seem to be clear to everyone that I come into contact with. And so I do want to spend a few minutes going over that. And in addition, I want to encourage you to consider the culture, mission, vision, and strategy of your lead organizations and programs as you develop your goals. While the information I will share today can be applied to any goals you're creating, whether it be for personal or professional purposes, in your professional settings, it's important to not only consider your goals from the lens of child passenger safety, but also from an organizational or business lens to help make the case for sustainability of your programs. I think this is particularly important right now, as we saw during the pandemic. Many community education and child passenger safety programs were cut when organizations had to make financial cuts. And hopefully, if the process of goal setting can support each of you in increasing your strategic thinking, this will also help support the sustainability and the growth of your programs. At least that's the hope. So our agenda today includes an overview of child passenger safety as public health, SMART goals, FAST goals, and DAPPS goals. And on the last slide, I began to share with you why I think your use of strategic and meaningful goal setting is important. And I'll continue to talk about that in the next few slides. So first, as I mentioned, I want to empower you in confirming that child passenger safety is public health work, and child passenger safety technicians are public health practitioners. Oops, sorry about that. To support this, I'm going to share some proof with you. Here you see a page from the website of the American Public Health Association, and this page is all about what is public health. And I believe our wonderful moderator, Tammy Franks, is going to share this link with you in the chat box so that you have it. And I'll work with the board to hopefully share all these links with in the same area on the board website as the recording of this session. So according to the American Public Health Association, excuse me, public health promotes and protects the health of people and the communities where they live, learn, work, and play. So while a doctor treats people who are sick, those of us working in public health try to prevent people from getting sick or injured in the first place. We also promote wellness by encouraging healthy behaviors, which child passenger safety definitely falls under this umbrella. And there at the top of the page is a video, and the section showing is talking about the progress that has been made in regards to motor vehicle safety. Here you get a better look at that video clip, or that video segment. And it says from 1979 to 2011, motor vehicle crashes in the US decreased by more than 41%, which took a variety of strategies like increased education, stricter laws around seatbelts and speeding, and improved design and use of child car seats. So the webpage also states that public health promotes and protects health, addresses people and communities, and specifically references efforts to prevent people from getting injured. And I'm going to apologize for my voice. I feel like I've been talking for 3 weeks straight. And so I'm not sick. I'm just losing my voice at this point. Another resource to reference is the CDC Foundation, who also has a page dedicated to information about what is public health. And I love here that they point out public health connects all of us and goes on to explain why public health is important. Public health is the science of protecting the health of people and their communities. Population served can be as small as a single neighborhood and as large as the entire country, a region, or even the world. Public health works to prevent injuries as well as people becoming sick before incidents occur. So I encourage you to visit this site and learn more if you aren't already familiar. I'd also like to share a couple of quotes with you, and these support why strategic thinking and thoughtful goal setting are important. It's important to spend time on defining the purpose and function of your program for systematic planning. Public health often lacks systematic planning. And here you see the quote, public health workers deserve to get somewhere by design, not just perseverance. How many of you feel like you work so hard and nothing seems to change? Designing goals and monitoring milestones achieved can show you the progress that you are making. I'm just going to take a quick drink here. And again, I apologize for that. So how many of you can relate to having goals, good intentions, and then before you know it, another year has gone by and you haven't started a goal that you think is ultimately important for your program or your position? Creating meaningful goals can help you set deadlines and milestones to help you thoughtfully prioritize and realize your targets and objectives. So where do you start? That is what we're going to talk about today. And I think I skipped over a slide. I'm sorry. As you see on this slide, a tried and true public health adage is what gets measured gets done. So that brings us to SMART goals. Many of you may have heard about SMART goals before, and I think this is the foundation for everything that we're going to talk about today. And here you'll see I've outlined SMART as specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time specific. Now, if you look at the picture, you're going to see some differences. Like instead of time specific, it says timely. Instead of relevant, it says realistic. You may even hear for the S, instead of specific, some people will say strategic. Don't worry about getting caught in the weeds on this because all of it is heading in the same direction. Oh my gosh. So as an example, we're going to work through an example of developing a SMART goal. And hopefully this is one that most of you can relate to. For me, I think this is important to help decrease stress and anxiety so you aren't rushing to complete hours of CEUs at the last minute when your recertification is due. So the general goal that we're going to address is I want to get my CEUs done for recertification without waiting until the last minute this year. So how do we turn this into a SMART goal? Well, we're going to start with the S, specific. It needs to make sense and it should be clear and concise. So I'm going to start by saying I will earn 6 CPS TCEUs by June 30th of 2023. With the M, measurable, we're going to add to that, and I'm going to say I'm going to take it a step further, and I'm going to complete 1 CPS TCEU every 2 months. Okay, I just figured out why my slides were advancing when I wasn't expecting it. Attainable. I would argue this is attainable for everyone. If you look back at this picture here, and again, this is on the National Child Passenger Safety Board website, here's a reminder to enter your recertification information online at Safe Kids Certification or cert.safekids.org. If you have access to enter your certification information online, then you should have access in theory to complete CEUs online. And because they're hosting this webinar today, I'm going to highlight the National Child Passenger Safety Board CEU offerings. And if you go to their homepage and look at the toolbar, the spot where I have the red oval says recertification. If you click on that, it will take you to this CEU and community education webinars page. And again, hopefully Tammy is going to add this link in the chat box for your convenience. Here's a zoomed in view of that last page, this section right here. And again, I've circled in red. If you just click on each of these plus signs, these tabs will open up and provide more information, such as instructions for earning the online CEUs, and then show you the different webinars that are available. Some are on technical education. Some are updates from car seat manufacturers. We also have the community education webinars, but you're getting that credit today by participating with this webinar. You can register for upcoming national CPS board webinars. And there's also a tab for CEU opportunities offered by Safe Kids Worldwide. These are just 2 resources that offer free online CEU opportunities so that you don't have to go to a conference or attend a technical update, and it's still realistic and relevant and attainable that you can complete all of your CEUs that are required for recertification online. And then I'm going to add the component to make this time specific, or again, you might hear different words like I mentioned earlier, timely or time bound. We're going to begin this goal July 1st of 2022, and we're going to end June 30th, 2023. You can put whatever dates in there work for you. I've used this time frame because that's the fiscal year for the National Safety Council. And again, this is just an example for developing a SMART goal. So if you remember, our original general goal was I want to get my CEUs done for recertification without waiting until the last minute this year. If we put all those pieces together that I just talked about, as one example, I've come up with the SMART goal of I will complete 1 CPST CEU every 2 months between July 1st of 2022 and June 30th, 2023 for a total completion of 6 CEUs over 12 months. Now, do you think that that is specific? I think it's measurable, attainable, realistic, and it's time specific for all the reasons that we just went over. So I hope that that makes sense. And again, as a friendly reminder, if you've got questions about this, put it in the chat box and we will address those as time allows at the end. Taking this a step further, now we're going to talk about FAST goals. And FAST stands for frequently talked about, ambitious, specific, and transparent. And again, Tammy's going to add a link in the chat box for a resource on an article called With Goals, Fast Beats Smart. This really still based on SMART goals, but this is more about format. So traditionally, often with SMART goals, you might meet with your supervisor at the beginning of the year, create an annual performance goal. Maybe you'll meet halfway through the performance year to revisit it. And then again, at the end of your annual performance year. What FAST goals are suggesting is that you visit your goals more often. That's the F. Goals should have frequent discussions. I would encourage you, and the resources encourage you, to dedicate a few minutes each week to revisiting your goals for yourself, to monitor, what's working, what's not working, are you on track? The rest of FAST, again, stands for ambitious. I'm going to, as I go through the next few slides, I'm going to explain ambitious more. Just like SMART, your goals should be specific and measurable. And then FAST adds the layer of transparent. And this might make some people nervous, but there's organizations like Google and Netflix that have taken the next step of, they give their employees the option to opt out, but most employees, research shows, approve for their goals to be posted publicly. And so that's the transparent piece of FAST goals. And we'll talk about why that is. So just as a high level overview, again, F is frequently discussed. It's encouraging ongoing discussions. It helps you allocate or reallocate your resources as you're revisiting your goals and looking at what's working and what's not working. It helps you prioritize initiatives, and it also helps get regular feedback. These benefits include guidance for key decision making. It helps you focus on what matters most. If you think back to that quote about design versus perseverance, hopefully this will bring your focus back into what your goals actually are, rather than just putting out, going from one fire to the next. And it evaluates your progress and allows for course corrections. It may not change the overarching goal, but the roadmap to how you reach your milestones can be adjusted. And that's what we call course correction. Ambitious. Your goals should be difficult, but not impossible. And by doing this, it's going to boost your performance. It reduces sandbagging. And if you don't know what that means, often with SMART goals, it's focused on the individual rather than the organization's goals, mission, vision, strategy. And so oftentimes people will set goals that they know they can achieve, which you should. Your goals should never be dependent on someone else doing something or something else happening. Your goals should always be within your control if they're going to be achievable. But what ends up happening is you set the bar lower than what it could be. But I think that you can do this for yourself, even if you're not doing it as an organization. Like when we get to transparent, even National Safety Council, we're not posting our individual goals publicly, but you could create an accountability partner, or you can work on this as a department, and that can help. For, sorry, what I'm going to talk about in the next couple slides. So it also helps with a broader search for innovative ways to achieve goals through those discussions and being ambitious. Again, just like SMART goals, you want to be specific because that's going to help translate your goals into metrics. It helps you set milestones that help create clarity and measure your progress. The benefits include clarifying expectations. As I mentioned earlier, it helps you identify what's working and what's not working. It helps you identify a need for more quickly if course corrections are needed. And again, it helps boost performance. And then transparent. I started to talk about this. Goals and performance should be public. A lot of organizations aren't there yet, but as I mentioned, you could have your own accountability partner or do this on your own team. And some of the benefits include peer pressure. I know on our team, we have a little bit of competitiveness, and you can channel that in a positive way. It shows support for company goals and aligning with the company's strategy, mission, vision. It helps you understand other team agendas. We're all stretched for resources. So as much as possible, we want to decrease a duplication of efforts. Or it also helps you identify who's working on what, and maybe you can leverage those efforts and relationships to help meet your ambitious goals. And you also want to recognize through the feedback that you're getting through those constant discussions, if you're not aligning or there's with the company goals, or if there's a way maybe to better word your goals or improve the strategy for meeting your goals. So FAST goals utilize what's called OKRs, or objectives and key results, and also KPIs, or key performance indicators. These help you coordinate more effectively across an organization. As I mentioned, it can help you learn from others and improve alignment with corporate priorities. So as a summary, in this case, we're not going to work through a FAST goal because this is more of a format of practice rather than what I just showed you with creating a SMART goal. But in summary, again, here's another resource that Tammy should be sharing in the chat box with you. According to conventional wisdom, goals should be specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time-bound. That's your SMART goal. As I said earlier, that's the foundation for creating the goals. But SMART goals undervalue ambition, focus narrowly on individual performance rather than that corporate vision or organization vision, and ignore the importance of discussing goals throughout the year. So to drive strategy execution, leaders should instead set goals that are fast, frequently discussed, ambitious, specific, and transparent. And you can read more about that in the article that we're sharing with you. And you can always email, and I'm happy to talk through these if you have questions. So now moving on, we're going to look at what's called DAPPS goals. This is, again, taking your goals to the next level. And the DAPPS stands for dated, achievable, personal, positive, and specific. Again, there's that word specific. And this creates the DAPPS goal setting creates a roadmap, if you will, to achieving your goals. It doesn't just set the SMART goal or your objective. It helps you figure out how you're going to accomplish the goal. So it includes objectives, key results, and initiatives. This one we are going to work through an example on. And again, let's see. Did I do it on the? No. Okay. So we're going to be sharing a resource with you also about what the difference is between key results and initiatives, but that's I'm jumping the gun a little bit there. So for this goal example, step one, we're going to identify a general goal again. And in this case, or this example, we're going to say, I want to begin using the National Digital Car Seat Check form. Well, how are you going to do that? Start by asking a few questions. What steps are needed to accomplish this goal? What resources are available? And not all resources are monetary. You want to think about your non-monetary and your monetary costs and resources such as time and funding. When should the goal be completed? That's the time specific part of the goal again. and try and be proactive and think through what challenges might exist. So step 2, we're going to start working on creating this goal. We've already said in general, I want to begin using the National Digital Car Seat Check Form, or the NDCF. Dated, we're going to begin an NDCF orientation process beginning with July 1st. And then my goal is to begin actually using the NDCF by January 1st. Is this achievable? I, once again, would argue or make the case that yes, it is. A lot of people aren't aware there is a wide variety of resources to support learning how to use the NDCF on cpsboard.org/NDCF. You can also schedule a free training with our field training coordinator. And Tammy's going to put that email address in the chat box, but it's training@carseatcheckform.org. And so when I'm talking to people about the NDCF, a lot of the resources that they're asking for, or the suggestions that they're making, resources already exist. People just don't know where to find it. So again, I'm encouraging you to go to cpsboard.org/NDCF and I'm going to jump over one, positive and measurable. I will begin to review one new resource every 2 weeks. I know, trust me, how stretched for time everybody is. But I think if we can chunk it out into something like this, measurable and specific, I'll just take one of those resources that I find on the board website and I'll read that. I'll take one every 2 weeks. That's going to be my goal. Then I think that should be achievable. And then personal. Your goal should always be something that you want to accomplish. Research shows you're going to perform better if it's something that you're interested in versus something that somebody's telling you that you have to do. So for the sake of this example, I've said, yes, I want to access the data the NDCF provides and contribute to the progress in the field of child passenger safety that's happening through the NDCF program. And then is it specific, or what's the specific part of this goal? I'm going to plan to enter 20 car seat checks into the NDCF by the end of next June. So the next step, using each element of the DAPPS goal that we just discussed, we're going to write out a draft of this specific goal. I will begin to use the NDCF during fiscal year 23. Again, noting your fiscal year may be different, but this is just an example. I'm going to begin the orientation process by July 1st of 2022. Start using the NDCF for car seat checks by January 1st of 2023 and enter 20 car seat checks by June 30th of 2023. So again, it's specific, it's measurable. I think this is attainable. You could always adjust these timelines. If you start the orientation process and you feel like you may be ready to start using it in the field before January, that would be a course correction that I referenced. And then again, specific, I'm going to enter 20 car seat checks by the end of June. That's less than one car seat check a week. And so again, this is just for the sake of the example. Some of you are doing much more than that, and this is going to be more than what some of our technicians on the line are already doing. So I'm just using that as a general example for a milestone. Step 4, we're going to develop our objectives and our key results. Again, that's going to be the roadmap or help you determine successful implementation to meet your goal. And your OKRs, your objectives and key results, are going to be the metrics used to measure your progress. So in the DAPPS goal example that we're going to go over, we're going to have our objective, our goal that we want to achieve. We're going to include at least 2 key results. These are the metrics that measure progress of the objective. And they serve as like signposts, measuring the distance, how far or near you are towards achieving your goal. And then we're going to include initiatives. And in our example, we're going to include 3 of them. And these work to drive progress on those key results. They're like a vehicle to your destination. And I hope that you guys can read this. This is, I think I'm going to, if it's something that you're interested, put it in the chat box. And I can try and have a worksheet that's made available on the board website with this recording. But in general, here's a chart that you can replicate. We start with our objective, which is the goal to begin orientation and use of the NDCF and enter a minimum of 20 car seat checks between July 1st of 2022 and June 30th of 2023. So over the next 12 months, that's our time frame, our measurement period. And because we're going to discuss these on a regular basis, if you think about the FAST format, here is a column where you can regularly update the completion or the progress towards completion of your goal. This is going to be often a little bit subjective, but not always. In the case like when you get to entering 10 car seat checks, you know you're going to update this to 50%. You're 50% towards completing this part of the goal. So what's our key results? And we're also including a reference that's going to help you better understand what the difference between key results and initiatives are. But basically, this is the measurement part. The key results are where you measure. So I'm going to begin orientation of using the NDCF, and the specific goal that we made and the time specific piece of this is I will review one new resource on cpsboard.org/NDCF every 2 weeks and schedule a free NDCF training. And my goal is to do that in the first 6 months of our fiscal year. Again, if you feel more comfortable sooner, you can always adjust that. And then you can monitor your progress, because you should be regularly, at a minimum, you should revisit this quarterly, your goals. But ideally, you would be spending a few minutes each week revisiting these goals and assessing for yourself how you're doing on accomplishing your goals. The second key result is beginning to document car seat checks in the NDCF as of January 1st, 2023, with a minimum of 20 car seat checks entered by June 30th. So again, that's another 6-month time period. It's the second half of our fiscal year. And then in this column, as you progress through that, accomplishing that key result, you'll update your progress just for your own frame of reference in how your progress is coming along. And then we're going to move to initiatives. And these are the steps that you are going to decide, how am I going to accomplish my goal? How am I going to meet my key results? So the first thing, my first initiative in this example is I'm going to create an NDCF account by August 1st of 2022. Now, my deadline to do that is August 1st, and you can put 100% completed there once you create your account. Initiative B, there's a practice feature in the NDCF, and I don't know if everybody's aware of that. You can make your account and you can go in and select practice, just so you can start familiarizing yourself with the process of using the NDCF during car seat checks. And we strongly recommend spending time doing that before you're using the NDCF with a family for an actual car seat check. The more familiar you are, the easier that process should be for you, and the faster it'll be as you become more familiar with the resource. So I'm going to begin I think this is a mistake on my part, but I'm going to begin using the practice feature by August 1st. Maybe it's not a mistake, because I said I'm going to create an account by August 1st. So I'm going to begin using the practice feature by August 1st. And then again, you can monitor your progress in this column here. Initiative C, I'm going to begin using the NDCF for actual car seat checks as of January 1st, 2023, and enter a minimum of 20 car seat checks into the NDCF by June 30th, 2023. So here I've put the full 6-month time frame. Again, if you start practicing and at the end of the first quarter or first 3 months of your year, you've decided, I'm excited about this, I want to start using it before January, you could update this to October 1st of 2022 and spend the next 9 months entering car seat checks into the NDCF. And then it's up to you if you want to update this number or this piece of the goal of entering 20 car seat checks. This is going to look different for everybody. But again, as you work through your time frame, you should regularly be checking your own progress on this goal, and you can update your percent of completion. So that's a lot of information, but hopefully I'm trying to break it down to help show how you can create a SMART goal and then create the roadmap to achieving your goal over a 12-month period. Here's another example. And this one I did so that you can show growth in your program. When you've got a baseline measurement of something, you can set a goal for during the next year, I want to improve on this particular goal by this percent. And this is a simple example of how you can do that. So our goal or our objective here is going to be to double the number of car seat checks conducted per month compared to fiscal year 22, compared to the baseline that we set last year. So say you were doing 2 car seat checks per month. Again, that's going to be different for everybody. From July 1st, 2022 through June 30th, 2023. So over the next 12 months, we want to double that number. We'll also add at least 1 new car seat check location to the program. So this is your full 12-month measurement period, and you'll come back and revisit this on a regular basis to update your progress. How are we going to measure this? We're going back to our key results. I'm going to begin to conduct 4 car seat checks per month beginning July 1st of this year, and continue that through that practice through June 30th of next year. Again, that's the full fiscal year for our organization. It's a 12-month period. And just from going, we have our baseline of 2 car seat checks per month last year. If my goal is to do 4 car seat checks per month during this coming fiscal year, I will have increased our performance and that key result by 100%. Key result number 2, I'm going to add a minimum of 1 new car seat check location per month by September 1st of this year. And then I'm going to continue offering car seat checks at a minimum of 2 sites through the end of the fiscal year. So again, we've got our time frame for adding a location, and we've got our time frame for our goal of how often or what time frame we want to increase to 4 car seat checks per month. How are we going to get there? That brings us down to our initiatives. I'm going to schedule 4 car seat checks per month with a plan to conduct 1 car seat check each week. This is to keep it simple. I know there's 52 weeks in a year, but just to keep this goal setting simple, we're going to say, and keep it specific and measurable, hopefully attainable and realistic, we're going to plan to conduct 1 car seat check a week. It's okay if that doesn't happen. Your overall goal is to conduct 4 car seat checks per month. And so you can have some flexibility. This is why you're going to, thinking of the FAST goals, you're going to revisit this frequently. And if you need to adjust, your overall goal is to conduct four throughout the month. So if you miss a week, maybe you do 2 in the next week and you're still hitting your goal. Again, I've kept that on the 12-month time frame because that's our goal for the entire year per month. The next initiative or the next step in achieving our goal is that during the month of July, I'm going to assess where an additional car seat check location is needed, or it could be plural. So that's just a 1-month time frame for my assessment. Once I get to July 31st, if you've done your assessment and you've decided where you're going to add a new location, you can update your progress to 100% right there. You have met that piece of the goal, that initiative. Moving on to initiative C, during the month of August, I'm going to begin scheduling car seat checks at a minimum of 2 locations to begin hosting at multiple sites during the month of September. So I'm hoping that this is clear. This is outlining that by September, I'm going to be hosting a minimum of 4 car seat checks per month at a minimum of 2 different sites per month. And if I start scheduling 4 car seat checks a month for the month of September, and it's at more than 1 location, you can put 100% completed right there in that initiative because you've begun that process. And then as you continue to revisit your goal and the progress that you're making, you would update your percentage during this time period for continuing to maintain that goal on a monthly basis through the end of June. So that's an example, another example. I hope it makes sense of the DAPPS model. Here are all the references that I've referenced throughout this presentation. Hopefully they're all in the chat box. And with that, I am going to open it up for questions.
Great. Thank you so much, Amy. So much information there.
It is. It's a
lot
lot.
It's great. It's great, especially as we're moving into planning for the next fiscal year and setting our goals. So I appreciate that. We do have a question, and as a reminder, please do enter your questions in the chat box. The tips or examples of how to identify tips or examples for how to identify outcome evaluation measures when using the DAPPS goal format.
Say that again.
So Ashton is looking for tips or examples for how to identify outcome or evaluation measures when using the DAPPS goal format.
Well, if I'm understanding the question correctly, I think that's part of thinking through the process and what's going to work for your program, what you think is realistic, personal, and attainable. These were just general examples, and really there's so much variation on what you could enter for your key results and your initiatives. I think that takes you back to that model of the SMART goal and starting very basic. If you use the SMART goal model, that will help you develop your objective. And then again, I think it's got to be personal. What is attainable and realistic for you and your program, or you as an individual technician, in developing those key results and initiatives, which lead to your outcomes and evaluating the success of how you've accomplished your goal. Does that answer the question?
I'm waiting to see if Ashton provides confirmation.
I know, I think I want to be able to share my screen as examples as I answer questions, but in doing that, I'm not, oh wait, maybe now I just figured out how I can also see the chat box.
Yes, Ashton said thank you.
Okay, perfect.
So if somebody were starting out, do you promote using the SMART model or the DAPPS model? Which one do you think is easier for a person who is just beginning their journey on setting goals?
Well, it's a combination. Just starting out, I think you should get a handle on the SMART goals. Like working through, I don't want to give you whiplash going to the beginning of my slides, but these will be posted as a PDF on the board website. And so you'll have access to this presentation, and you could go step by step in drafting your own goals. And as I said earlier, I think the SMART goals are at the foundation of all of this. And then once you have your goal, just the fast goals is just applying, visit them frequently, don't wait 12 months and then be in a panic for often the performance goals are tied to raises or possibly bonuses. And that's where the sandbagging comes in, because people underachieve or, set the bar low so they know they can achieve their goals so that they can get that raise. And an individual in that scenario, an individual can achieve their goal while not achieving the overall mission and vision of the organization. And so and that's where the business case comes in again too, that I talked about in the very beginning. I want to encourage people to be ambitious. I know that everybody is in different circumstances, but I think if you're just starting out, you start with getting a handle on the SMART goals. But then for yourself, I really want to encourage you to visit your goals frequently and try and measure your progress. I personally think it's good right from the beginning to start practicing setting key results and initiatives like with the DAPPS goal, because that gives you the roadmap on how you're going to achieve your goal.
And then do you have some suggestions? So the topic of the presentation today was measuring CPS program effectiveness. So if you're a new person and you're starting out and you're trying to figure out how to communicate this to leadership or your manager, what are some suggestions that you might offer to that person, if somebody to think about setting as a goal or to measure?
So again, that's going to be different for every organization. That's where I think you need to be looking, as I mentioned, at your organization's culture, what their mission and vision is, and what their strategy is. And hopefully that information is public to you at your organization. It is to us at the National Safety Council. And so we don't just do child passenger safety speak, if you will, when we're communicating to the organization. We at the National Safety Council actually do have meetings with our executive team and people in what we call shared services, marketing, accounting. We have regular meetings, quarterly meetings, where we need to provide updates. And it's really important that we think about our audience and what information is important to them. Tammy and I just had a conversation about this recently. Like we know what we want to share because it's the progress that we're making in child passenger safety and our programs is so exciting. But when it's the executive team that's our audience, are they going to understand everything that we're saying? No, we need to hone in on what the corporate strategy is and figure out a balance to simply, at a high level, communicating the progress our program is making and why it's relevant to the corporate strategy. And that's making the business case. So for us, some of our strategy is to double down on what works. We know through research that car seats, booster seats, and seat belts, when correctly used, reduces injuries and fatalities in the event of a motor vehicle crash. How do we do that? We get more trained technicians. We increase the number of car seat checks that are available and the resources that are available. We had the development of the car seat basics course that's now available. And so maybe to corporate, it's communicating the number of new resources that we've made available to meet that strategic vision of the organization. I hope that this is making sense. This is a lot of words and I wish I was answering more succinctly. But because it's going to be different at every organization. You have to look at your culture and what the priorities are at your organization and figure out a way to communicate what your program is doing in a way that's going to make sense to your audience, your executive audience.
So do we want to share the example we worked on a little bit the other day? We can share that specifically, and I'll throw
You
myself
want to
out there.
take the lead? Yeah,
So
that's
it
up
was
to
a
you.
learning experience for me. So, we were working on starting to begin thinking about goals, performance goals for this upcoming fiscal year. And one of mine is I want to make certain that and understanding the importance from a child passenger safety program, and staying committed to our technicians on staff, our instructors on staff, was to provide teaching opportunities for them to be able to stay current with their hours. And so my first thought was immediately defaulting to the instructors, and their, the importance of retaining them as subject matter experts in child passenger safety, and we needed to keep them certified at that level. So in sharing this, and now I'll kind of pass it over to Amy said, well, let's reflect a little bit more on the corporate strategy. And so I'll throw that to you, Amy, if you want to build on that a little bit about do you remember some of the advantages, or you want me to?
Well, give me an example of one of the advantages that you shared from a child passenger safety perspective.
So from a child passenger safety perspective, it was looking at the instructors and helping keep them certified so they could stay as a subject matter expert. But from more of a corporate, it was more building community and partnerships within the locations, maybe where the NSC locations are, or whatever locations that we picked where we wanted to hold classes, the community benefit to helping check car seats in conjunction with the checkup events. I'd have to pull up my notes, but
that's okay. I can tell you though, like our organization is interested in quantifiable metrics. Like how do you quantify, or what are the numbers? So one of the new things that's happened recently is the addition of carseateducation.org. And Tammy, correct me if I got that address wrong.
It's perfect.
Okay. And so one of the benefits is that we can now track, we can put numbers to how many people have initiated a course, how many are in progress, and how many have completed the trainings. And so by showing our executive team that we now have this innovation that is providing data to show impact, or how many people we're reaching and educating about child passenger safety, that was something that showed measurable effectiveness to our executive team. Whereas Tammy's excited about building community and educating people, corporate's more interested in what are the numbers? Show us how you're defining impact or measuring impact. And you have to keep it really high level and simple for an audience that doesn't understand child passenger safety in general, that they don't understand all the lingo that we understand.
Absolutely. All right. I'm not seeing any additional questions. Do you have any closing comments or thoughts that you want to leave us with, Amy?
I will say one more example that comes to mind to answer that question, and because I did use it as an example here, is the NDCF. When health equity is huge right now, the NDCF is something that puts data readily into our hands. So while the executive team may not be so focused on misuse rates like we are, we can show them the heat map of how many car seat checks have happened in a particular county and where areas in states are lacking in child passenger safety services. And that supports our health equity conversation. And as more data is entered into that resource, we will be able to show the growth of how we're better meeting health equity needs. And that's another business case. And I think just in general, these goal setting examples, they really can be applied to anything. Like if we had more time, I would have worked through one for instructors. I want to learn how to use I want to learn how to teach the hybrid course that's coming out. Or, you could basically throw any example in the chat box. And I think that we could work through a SMART goal and a DAPPS model of how to create a goal for it. So again, I knew something with all the links, my references page. And then thank you, Tammy, for putting those. We will, again, I do want to say with that one article, the difference between a key result and an initiative, the article is from HeartPace. I am not endorsing their product. I would tell you to read all but the last section of that article, because the last section is selling a product. I'm not endorsing their product, and I don't think that you need it to do what we've talked about today. But I thought that the rest of the article did a really great job explaining the difference between key results and initiatives, and that's why I shared that as a resource. And I will ask for a note to be added on the board website that I'm not endorsing a product also. But just in general, again, I think that I hope that this presentation showed people the importance of setting SMART goals. Like when you rather go back to the initial example of, I want to get my CEUs done earlier this year. These just help you think through measurable, realistic, attainable ways that you can meet your goal. I hear time and time again from child passenger safety technicians how busy they are. Like they don't even have time to read the news, like feel like they don't even have time to read the newsletters, let alone know where to start in finding resources. So hopefully this presentation has provided some direction on where you can find resources, particularly on the board website, but also helps you think through how to set those measurable goals so that you can create your own roadmap to achieving the progress. I think we are all at fault in child passenger safety. Many of us that I know, we're just putting out fires a lot of times, and we want to help everybody. And you've got to make it a priority to carve out time so that you can be strategic. If you think back to that picture of design versus perseverance, so that you're not feeling like you're just spinning your wheels, I think there's a lot of validation in being able to look at like a DAPPS goal model chart and seeing the progress that you've made, rather than just feeling like you're spinning your wheels and not accomplishing anything. Because I guarantee, even without mapping it out, I'm confident that you're all doing great work. And it's important that you're able to recognize what you're accomplishing as well.
Great. Well, thank you so much for your time today, Amy. We really appreciate it. And thank you for everybody who stayed on to the end. We hope that you will join us next month on July 19th for the CEU webinar. Oh, the things you'll see applying good, better, best for children with special needs at car seat checks. And this recording, as well as supporting documents, will be posted to cpsboard.org in approximately 1 to 2 business days. Thank you so much, everybody, and have a safe day.
Thank you.